Hello YouTube, it's William. Welcome to another Whittle Talk. I guess it's a Whittle Talk. We'll call it a Whittle Talk. I have heard, and I have had comments on my videos that my terminology for a Scandi, which is a V-grind, is what my terminology is. A V-grind Scandi is not correct. That the original Scandi blades were convexed, and the rumor is that once mass production machinery came into effect in the early 1900s, that machinery could not do a convex blade, so they changed the grind to a V grind, and then they had instructions in the box instructing the customer how to change it back to a convex if they wished, for a stronger edge, because the V-grind, the edge wasn't strong enough. Okay, I've heard this. I've heard knife companies, and I won't mention names, but I've heard knife companies say the same thing, that the original Scandi was a convex. Okay, so while I was at Blade, I was talking to Bjorn, who is a senior member. I don't know exactly what his position is, but he's high up in the Mora organization. I was talking to him about that, and he said he didn't know, but he knew who did. He said that he would go back and if I was sending the email asking him the question, he would forward it to the owner of Mora, who is the third generation owner of Mora, and he would know. Okay, so I did that. I sent the email to him, and the owner of Mora was kind enough to send me a response, and the owner's name is Thomas Eriksson. Isn't that a fine Viking name? Scandinavian name. Okay, so, and this is his response. I guess you can see that on the video right here. So, and I'm going to read it to you what he says. It's just easier that way. So anyway, hello William. My colleague Bjorn asked me to share some light on the Scandi grind issue. He said from the beginning the edge was partially shaped by the blacksmith. They got it as close as they could with hammer and anvil. Okay. To have less steel to grind away. So I mean, everything was done by hand, so they wanted to make sure that it was as close to the final grind as possible before they put it on the grinding wheel. The grinding was then made on an outside diameter of a grinding stone approximately 1 meter in diameter, which is 40 inches, making the bevel almost straight, but in theory a bit concaved. Not convex, but concaved. So a hollow, more of a hollow grind. Okay. By that time, so little concave that it was not even measurable. So it was you had to. It was just so slight that you couldn't tell it or see it or anything else. Okay. In the 1960s, the new grinding machines was introduced. This is where mass production comes in. And the mosquitoes are bothering me again. The new grinding machines were introduced where the site of the grinding ring was used, and by that today's totally flat Scandi grind became our new standard. So they used the flat portions of the grinding wheels to create the V grind. So in other words, we have never had a convex edge except for some food industry knives. In Scandinavia, a convex edge is more or less considered to be useless. Isn't that interesting? It says, as it is no good for carving and whittling. We got to have a good whittler, right? And I'll show you. This is where he says that at. All right, I'm not making this up. It's considered useless, as it is no good for carving and whittling. To get a less vulnerable edge, the final edge got a tiny secondary bevel, which is what I refer to as a micro bevel, or what is commonly known as a micro bevel. So it's usually too small to see without magnifying. Okay. So, sincerely, Thomas Erickson, production manager, Mora Knives. Okay. So he is third generation in the Mora industry. He is part of the ownership of Mora. Now, I don't know exactly how all that works, if it's a corporation or if it's a board or what. But anyway, Bjorn said he knows, and I trust his judgment. So, in summary, that rumor is false. A Scandi grind is a true V grind, or if the original was slightly concaved or hollow, but it was such a slight hollow that you couldn't see it. It wasn't recognizable, okay, because the wheels were so large when they ground. So I hope that answers your questions, and I'm sure there's going to be some people who want to argue with that, but that's fine. This comes from the owner or the ownership, third generation of Mora. So I would assume that he knows. I mean, there's enough history there at Mora to pretty much answer any question you have in the Scandinavian grinds. Okay, so that's all I have. I hope you enjoyed this, and get out in the backyard, whittle on a stick, take a child with you. Be sure that child gets an outdoor education, as in whittling, building fires, if you have the opportunity. And if you do, be sure to take plenty of Band-Aids and lots of knives. Not Scandi's grinds, or Convex grinds. You can't whittle with Convex grinds. You gotta have an edge you can whittle with. All right, we'll catch you again soon.